Yeah. Good evening, students. So we are back with FMLVCs. Today we will start with the chapter called Management of Working Capital. It's a lengthy chapter because it contains many components. So let us first briefly discuss the learning objective from this chapter. What is the learning objective? So first, as always, we will start with understanding the term working capital. So first we will understand the meaning of the term working capital. ठीक है? उसके बाद why working capital? Like why this chapter is in your syllabus? How will you use when you practically become a part of the industry, financial world? How will you apply the concepts of working capital in your practical financial life? So we will understand that. Third, we will solve some practical problem. But before that, let me first briefly describe you the different components. इस chapter में हम पढ़ने क्या वाले हैं? This chapter has to be studied in 3 parts. First, we will learn to estimate the amount of working capital. You very well know that working capital is current assets less current liabilities. Let's say working capital current assets less current liabilities comes to 5 lakh. So how to estimate that 5 lakh? We will understand that. We will understand its significance. Okay? Second, there is a concept called operating cycle period. Working capital operating cycle period, or you can just name it as operating cycle period. So we will learn this concept. Then as you know, working capital, again, is nothing but current assets less current liabilities, correct? This you have already learned at your lower level. Now there are different subcomponents of current assets, like you have receivables, you have inventory, you have cash and bank balance, correct? So these are the major components of current asset that is usually seen in all the business organization. Likewise, under current liabilities, you have payables. So management of these subcomponents is equally important. Are you getting this? Management of the subparts of current assets and subcomponents of current liabilities is equally important. So we have separate chapter for receivables, for managing receivables, called receivables management. We have separate chapter for managing cash and bank, called cash budget and treasury management. We have separate chapter for managing the payables, called payables management. And this all comes under the main chapter, the main part called management of working capital. So first, we will briefly understand how to estimate the working capital. Then step by step, we will deep dive into each component. Now, we also have separate chapter for managing inventories, for managing the stock, called inventory management. But this is already covered in your cost and management accounts. Costing में आपका cover हो गया है. Material costing. Do you recollect EOQ वगैरह? EOQ, economic order quantity, minimum order level, maximum order level. So that is all about inventory management. So that is already covered in your costing syllabus. So in FM, we will not study separately. So inventory management हम यहाँ पे separately नहीं पढ़ेंगे. It is already covered in your costing. And FM में inventory management के module में ऐसा ही लिखा है कि this is already covered in your costing. ठीक है? So first we will briefly understand, learn how to estimate working capital. Then we will see what do you mean by operating cycle period. Then further, we will deep dive into sub-components and see how to manage receivables, how to manage cash, how to manage payables. Okay? Understood the flow of the chapter? So we have to cover this entire management of working capital in 4 sessions. Okay? So let's start. For today's session, first, let us understand what do you mean by term working capital. बोलो, आप लोगों ने क्या समझा है? What is working capital according to you? Don't give me that formula, sir. Current assets less current liabilities. That is the way to calculate working capital. But what exactly working capital means? Do you know that? Tell me. Batao, what do you mean by the term working capital? Requirements to meet day to day, shows liquidity of the company. Okay. Okay. Krishna is correct. Neeraj is correct. All are correct. Capital we need, day to day operations. Okay. Okay. So yes, you all are correct. Funds that you need, that you require for day to day बिजनेस ऑपरेशंस. करेक्ट. इसका कोई एग्जांपल दे सकते हो? ठीक है, ये लाइन तो मुझे भी समझ आ गई कि दैट इट इज द कैपिटल दैट यू नीड फॉर मैनेजिंग डेली बिजनेस ऑपरेशंस. कैन यू गिव सम एग्जांपल that explains the significance? See, again, you are giving the example of component of working capital. You gave cash in hand. Cash in hand is a component of current assets, which in turn is a component of working capital. Let me explain the significance, why working capital is so important for the business. So let me tell you some short story. You visualize it along with me. Okay? So let's assume today is my birthday and I plan to give you all a treat. I'm based in Ahmedabad. I called you at Ahmedabad. There is a recently, newly, very good opened restaurant. यहाँ पे है ना, every 1-2 महीने में नई cafes, नए restaurants खुलते रहते हैं. So I decided to give you a treat in one of the recent well-known restaurant. ठीक है? So I invited you, you came, and just as and when we entered the restaurant, you were completely awestruck. You are shocked कि यार सर की चॉइस बहुत जोरदार है. The ambience, the interior, the furnitures, the sittings, the artistic works, everything was damn awesome. ठीक है? So we all settled down. Waiter, the server gave us a glass of water. He gave us the menu card. We saw the menu card. We ordered some exotic dish. Okay? Let's say the price of that exotic dish was around 5,000 per dish. Okay? Let's say it was around 5,000 per dish. So जैसे ही we ordered that to the server, what did he said, you know? कि सर आपको पहले मुझे पैसे देने पड़ेंगे, फिर I will be able to serve you. And again, कि ऐसा तो हमने पहली रेस्टोरेंट देखी है कि जहां पे जनरली they ask money and then serve. Likely in all the other restaurants, they serve first, they serve the food first, and then we need to pay. Correct? So we were shocked. We asked, why do you need that money first? So he said, sir, आप ये मुझे 5,000 दोगे. Once you give me this rupees 5,000, I will take a cab and I will go to the market. I will buy all the materials that is needed to prepare the exotic dish. Maybe spices, maybe paneer, maybe veggies, etc., etc. I will buy from the market. In the same cab, I will come back again to the restaurant. I will hand over all these materials to our master chef. But master chef also will not prepare the dish heavy. He will ask for his fees first. So I have to pay the fees of master chef from this 5,000. Once he prepares the dish, I will serve you. But before serving you, Even I will deduct my fees because even I'm working here as an employee. So I would want my fees as well. Okay? So the story ends here. Did you follow the story? Did you visualize what had happened in the entire scenario? The story, the moral of the story is very clear. Restaurant had funds, had capital for exotic interiors, for exotic ambience, for furnishings, for artistic works, etc., etc. So, in other terms, technically, can I say restaurant had funds for fixed assets? Restaurant had funds for fixed asset, but the daily business operation of restaurant, which is to prepare and serve food to the customers, they did not have that funds. So that funds which you need for day-to-day business operation is called working capital. Are you following? सिर्फ बिजनेस में फिक्स्ड असेट में इन्वेस्ट करने से your business will not start. You need additional funds for smooth running of these fixed assets. And that additional funds for smooth running of fixed asset is called working capital. Did you understand the meaning? This was hypothetical example to explain you the meaning of working capital. ठीक है? This was a hypothetical story. I know no one does this, but मान लो ऐसा होता है. So I wanted to explain you what is working capital. ठीक है? Don't deep dive into literal meaning. So working capital is the additional funds that you need for smooth running of the business. Another example. Let's say I want to start a new manufacturing business. ठीक है? So to start a new manufacturing business, can I say मुझे पहले factory की जगह लेनी पड़ेगी? So I took a factory land. I bought the factory land. Then I constructed factory building on that land. I installed all the machineries that is needed for my manufacturing. फिर उसके साथ जो electrical fittings वगैरह जो भी चाहिए, all that is set up. Then I constructed a small office in the manufacturing unit as well. Tell me, इतना सब करने से मेरा manufacturing business start हो जाएगा? Tell me. Just by installing the machineries, just by constructing the factory building, just by setting up the office, will my manufacturing business, my day-to-day business of manufacturing start? No, obviously not. I would need funds for raw materials. ये मशीन में डालने के लिए raw materials तो चाहिए. I would need funds for raw materials. Raw materials पे काम करने के लिए I would need some labor. Yes or no? So labor is also needed and then some overheads as well. So for the smooth running of fixed assets will never work on its own. You need additional funds for smooth running of fixed assets. And that is called working capital. Understood? Okay. So working capital in simple terms. You know how to calculate. See, it is current assets less current liabilities. That is agreed. But meaning you should know first. What does it exactly means? It exactly means that funds that you need for smooth running of fixed asset. Okay? Understood? Now let's move ahead. So working capital. Now how to calculate working capital? It is very simple. Sir, it is nothing but current assets less current liabilities. Means, can I say if we are able to calculate the value of current assets and if we are able to calculate the value of current liabilities, our job is done, working capital is done. Yes or no? So to calculate current assets, we first understand what are the different components of current assets. We need to first understand what are the different components of current assets? So current assets in majority of the business organization, most of the current assets are receivables. Then you have inventory. You have cash and bank balance. Then you have other short-term investments, prepaid expense, etc., etc. So that is other current assets. Okay? And in most of the business organization, current liabilities ideally includes payables and some outstanding expenses. Okay? So if we are able to calculate the amount of receivables, if we are able to calculate the amount of inventory, likewise amount of cash and bank and other current assets, our current total current assets will be calculated. Similarly, if we learn how to calculate payables and how to calculate outstanding expenses, our job to calculate current liability is done. And in turn, we will able to calculate working capital. Understood? But before we learn how to estimate working capital, there are certain standard assumptions of this chapter. वो assumptions हमें जानने पड़ेंगे. Why sir assumptions क्यों सब chapter में? The reason is very simple. What is the name of the chapter? Estimation of working capital. What are we currently learning? Estimation of working capital, correct? So we will estimate about the past ki future. Tell me. We will estimate about the past ki future. Obviously future. Yes or no? Estimation is always of future. So future, as we all know, it is full of uncertainty. So whenever uncertainty exists in financial management, it is supported by assumptions. ठीक है, जहां जहां अनसर्टनिटी होगी, जहां जहां फ्यूचर की बात होगी, it will be always be supported by assumptions. So there are certain standard assumptions of this chapter, unless otherwise specified. Unless otherwise specified, there are certain standard assumptions of or for estimating the working capital. Assumption number one: all activities accrue evenly throughout the year. Assumption number one says that all business activities accrue or occur evenly throughout the year. Tell me, इसका मतलब क्या होगा? Anyone? What could be the meaning of this entire statement? बताओ. Anyone wants to try? Okay, no one. So this statement means that everything, be it sales, be it purchases, will occur evenly in the entire year. So let's say if my entire year का sales is 12 lakh, तो इस स्टेटमेंट का, इस assumption का मतलब ये निकलता है कि if my entire yearly sales is 12 lakh, then every month it would be 1 lakh. Jan में my sales would be 1 lakh, Feb में it would be 1 lakh, November में it would be 1 lakh, December में it would be 1 lakh. Because all activities accrue evenly throughout there. Are you getting this? Practically it may not be possible. Practically दिवाली में sales ज्यादा होता है, especially for jewelers. ठीक है. Likewise, if purchase is 6 lakh for entire year, then every month my purchase would be 50,000. Be it Jan, be it Feb, be it March, be it November, be it October, be it any damn month. ठीक है. Likewise, if stock is 1 lakh at any particular day, then it would be 1 lakh only throughout the year on any particular day. Opening stock भी same रहेगा, closing stock भी same रहेगा, because all activities accrue evenly throughout the year. But this assumption is only when unless otherwise specified in the question. ठीक है. If question specifies, then this assumption will not hold true. But if nothing is specified, then all activities accrue evenly throughout the year. Means sales 12 lakh है, तो every month it would be 1 lakh. Purchase 6 lakh है, then every month it would be 50,000. Stock would remain at any given point in time. If you come at my godown, stock value would remain same. मतलब आज मेरे गोडाउन में आए, आज 1 लाख का स्टॉक पड़ा है, then on 30th November if you come to my godown, 1 लाख का स्टॉक पड़ा होगा. If you come on 31st December to my godown, 1 लाख का स्टॉक पड़ा होगा. Are you getting this? All activities accrue evenly throughout the year. Second, the estimation of working capital that we will learn in this chapter would be for manufacturing business. Are you getting this? We will learn to estimate the working capital for those business who are engaged into manufacturing industry. Means in your entire syllabus, there is no question for estimating the working capital which are into trading or service industry. Again, the reason is very simple. The more complexity involved in working capital management is for manufacturing industry. So ICAI ka simple logic hai, if you are able to learn how to estimate the complex one, then easier one is very simple. Means you will already wins by default to आपको आ ही जाएगा for trading and services. ठीक है. So as far as our academics is concerned, we would be learning working capital estimation for those businesses which are into manufacturing industry. So can I say in other words, जो manufacturing business में है, inventory would be of 3 types. Raw material का कुछ inventory होगा. There would be something under work in progress, and there would be stock of finished goods as well. Yes or no? Since we are estimating, since we are learning working capital estimation for manufacturing businesses, inventory has to be of 3 types: raw material, something in progress, and finished goods. Okay? So we need to learn this as well, how to estimate the amount of raw material, how to estimate the amount of work in progress, and how to estimate the amount of finished goods ka stock. Are you following? Last but not the least, our estimation of working capital would be for the entire coming year. Means आने वाले साल में how much working capital is needed for our business. We would be finding that. We would be calculating that. Okay? So estimating the amount of working capital. Working capital is denoted by WC in short form. Okay? Estimating the amount of working capital for the entire next year. Means आने वाले 1 साल में what would be our amount of working capital required? We would be calculating that. Ideally, practically क्या होता है, all the business organizations, or not all, but many of the business organizations avail facility called working capital facility from financial institutions. So bank and financial institutions will not provide funds for entire year. कभी भी no bank will provide your working capital needs for entire years. They maximum provide for 4 months, for 5 months, or max to max 6 months. But with the help of these assumptions, we have to follow that we will estimate the working capital need for our entire next year. Okay? Are you following? So these are the standard assumptions of this chapter, unless otherwise specified. Number one, all activities accrue evenly throughout the year. Means sales is same for each month, stock is same for each day or each month, purchase is same for each day or each month, expense is same for each day or each month. Second assumption, we would be estimating the working capital needs for manufacturing industry. Third, our calculation would be for the entire 1 year, not for 3 months, not for 4 months, not for 5 months, but for entire 1 year. Okay? Understood? Any queries still here, students? Will any doubt, any concerns? Sounds good. Can we move forward? Okay. So let's move ahead. Now, as I told you that estimation of working capital is very simple. You have to just apply formula of current assets less current liabilities. But हमें ऐसे चार्ट फॉर्म में सॉल्व नहीं करना है. Don't remove such arrows and solve. This is very unorganized approach. We are students of very professional and reputed course. So our way of solving, our way of presentation should always be in an organized manner. So for that, we need to understand the format. How to calculate the working capital. उसका एक format है. I told you in my very first session that FM is all about formats and formulas. If you are able to recollect the formulas and formats, and if you are good with both this, if you are good with both, then your FM is very simple and smooth. Okay? So let's understand the format of working capital. How to solve, how to estimate the working capital, calculate कैसे फॉर्मेट में करना है वो सीखते हैं. ये ऐसे रामबाण मत बनाना. This is very unorganized approach. We have to follow a professional way of solving. ठीक है? So the format of estimating the working capital is as follows. So first of all, you write the heading estimation of working capital for X Limited. ठीक है? As I told you, working capital is very simple. It is nothing but current assets less current liabilities. So first heading would be current assets. Less current liabilities. Please pay attention in this format. This format you have to follow for all the questions. ठीक है? So first, working capital का main base is done, current assets less current liabilities. Now go for each component of current assets. So first is inventory. Then we have receivables. Then we have cash bank balance. Then we have other current assets. Other current assets where you have short-term investments, you have prepaid expenses, everything. Okay? And the total of the entire current asset is called as gross working capital. क्या बोलते हैं उसको? Gross working capital. The total of current assets is called as gross working capital. This might be asked in your MCQ. The total of current assets is called so and so. So total of current asset is called gross working capital. Likewise, we have current liabilities. So the major current liabilities is payables, you can say creditors, and other than that you have other current liabilities, which includes outstanding expenses, which may include bank OD, etc., etc. So current gross working capital में से current liabilities minus करते हैं, then we get excess of current assets over current liabilities. And to this, very important, we add safety margin. We add safety margin. And after adding safety margin, the amount, the resultant figure is called as net working capital required. Net working capital required. 2%. What is 2%? Safety margin. Now, what is safety margin? Let's first understand that. It is very simple. Can I see ये जो amount आएगा ना, excess of current assets less current liabilities. It is an estimated figure, approximate figure. It is not the actual figure. See, actual may differ here and there. So for that, we add safety margin to be conservative. Okay? So let's say your excess of current liabilities over your excess of current assets over current liabilities comes to 2 lakh. So this 2 lakh is an approximate figure, estimated figure. There are chances or margin of errors possible. So to avoid that, we add safety margin to be on conservative basis. And that safety margin percentage would be given in the question. So you add that margin. कि अच्छा आपको 2 लाख आया है and your safety margin is 10%. Then raise working capital of 2.2 lakh. Be conservative, add that safety margin. Okay? So safety margin is added on conservative basis because the amount that you get of excess of current assets over current liabilities is an approximate figure. It is not the actual figure because we are estimating. There are bound to be error. There are bound to be some errors possible. Yes or no? Mistakes होने के chances है. So always add safety margin. If safety margin is not given in the question, then you ignore. Then this amount is your working capital required. Okay? Now inventory. As I told you, we are estimating the working capital for manufacturing industry. Inventory would be of 3 types. कौन सी इन्वेंट्री होगी? रॉ मटेरियल, we have WIP, and we have finished goods. ठीक है? So this is our format of estimating the working capital. First, current assets less current liabilities. Then write each component of current assets. Then write each component of current liabilities. The total of current asset is called as gross working capital. from the gross working capital, if we deduct current liabilities, then we get excess of current assets less current liabilities. We add safety margin to that figure and we get net working capital needs. Bolo, any queries still here? Any queries in the format? So this is the standard format of this chapter. Any sum that we solve, as far as this chapter is concerned, यही format हमें use करना है, यही format follow करना है. ठीक है? So the format is very simple. Now the task is to find these values. How to calculate raw material, how to calculate WIP, how to calculate FG, how to calculate receivables, cash bank balance, other current assets, how to calculate payable. Next task is to learn how to calculate each and every component of working capital. And simple उसकी formula है that you have already learned in the ratios chapter. So वही हमें follow करनी है. But before that, my question to you, this estimation of working capital, ये सारे figure है ना? There is one source document from which we will receive all these values. We will get information of all these components. There is one source document. That source document is nothing but our income statement or cost statement. ये जो figure है ना, आपको कहाँ से आएंगे? Then there has to be a source document to get all these figures, to derive all these figures. And that statement is nothing but your cost statement. जो cost sheet आपने सीखी है ना costing में, that cost statement से, yeah, we can say income statement as well. So from that cost statement, we will get all these values. ठीक है? Will any doubts? So we need to first understand the format of cost statement as well. जो आपने already सीखा है cost sheet में, but a very quick revision over here. See in FM उतना detail में cost sheet नहीं होगा. It won't be a detailed version of the cost sheet. Only the relevant parts will be taken and cost statement will be prepared. ठीक है? So we need to just focus on that relevant parts. बोलो any doubt still here? So format, we prepared the format. Then to calculate, to derive the values, we need a source document from which we can get the values of all the components. That source document is nothing but your cost statement, or you can say income statement as well. So for that, we need to first understand how to prepare or what is the format of cost statement. So let's prepare that. You can term it as cost sheet, you can term it as cost statement, you can term it as income statement. Everything is correct. Cost statement starts with raw material consumption. Then we have direct labor. Then we have direct expenses called manufacturing overheads. The resultant figure was called as gross factory cost as far as cost sheet was concerned, correct? And from that gross factory cost, चलो यहाँ मैं gross factory cost लिखता हूँ, ठीक है? Prime cost is raw material plus direct labor. This too is your prime cost. But if we add manufacturing overheads to it, then it is your gross factory cost. Okay. Now from this, we used to subtract closing stock of WIP and we used to add opening WIP, correct? Opening WIP add करते थे, closing WIP subtract करते थे. The resultant figure was called as cost of production. Yes or no? Cost of production. But as I told you, there is a standard assumption of this chapter that unless otherwise specified, all activities accrue evenly throughout the year. Means at any given point in time, आप मेरे फैक्ट्री में आओ, लेट से आ जाए, and the amount of work in progress is 1 lakh. So even if you come after 15 days, the amount in process would be 1 lakh only. Even if you come on 31st December, amount in progress would be 1 lakh only. So can I say in other words, opening WIP, closing WIP would be same? Yes or no? Unless otherwise specified. Huh? Unless otherwise specified. So in that case, my gross factory cost itself becomes my cost of production because ये दो same है. Yes or no? So my gross factory cost itself becomes cost of production. Next, let's move forward. To cost of production, you used to add opening stock of finished goods, opening FG, and उसमें से closing FG minus करते थे. So the resultant figure was called as COGS, cost of goods sold. Correct? But again, unless otherwise specified, all activities accrue evenly throughout the year. So at any given point in time, if you come at my godown, you will find same value of stock at any point in time if you come. आ जाए, मेरे बर्थडे के दिन आए, आपके बर्थडे के दिन आए, the stock value would be same. This is the standard assumption of this chapter unless otherwise specified. So can I say again, ये दोनों same. Means in other words, my COGS itself is my cost of production. Yes or no? Because cost of, let's say cost of production is 5 lakh. Opening FG is 1 lakh, closing FG is 1 lakh. So my COGS would be 5 lakh only. So in other words, my COP, cost of production, becomes my COGS, becomes my gross factory cost. Yes or no? Correct? Moving forward. We add admin expenses which are not related to production. Huh? If admin expenses are related to your production, directly related to your production, तो वो यहाँ पे add हो जाएगा. Stock में नहीं, but cost of production के पहले. Here, something somewhere over here. But admin expenses, if not particularly specified, then it has to be assumed that they are general overheads. Production directly, it is not related to production. ठीक है? We add admin expenses. Then we have selling and distribution expense. So we get cost of sales. We add profit to it. And I get sales ka figure. This is the format of cost statement as far as estimation of working capital is concerned. So can I say the crucial part is this: your gross factory cost is equal to your cost of production is equal to your COGS. Okay, unless otherwise specified. Why? Because activities accrue evenly throughout the year. So at any given point in time, if you come at my factory or if you come at my godown, stock value would be same. ठीक है. सो यू हैव टू रिमेम्बर दिस. हाँ, दिस इज वेरी क्रूशियल. सो मैं ये लिखूं ना लिखूं कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता. मैं लिखूं ना लिखूं कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता. But I wrote this so that you can connect with your cost sheet that you have learned in costing. So this becomes my cost of cost of production. Cost of production, in short, it is denoted by COP, huh? And cost of goods sold, it is denoted by COGS. ठीक है. Then you have admin expense. You have S&D. S&D is selling and distribution expense, which comes to cost of sales. You add profit and you get sales. ठीक है. Now very important thing. Can I say your manufacturing overheads will contain the amount of depreciation as well? Depreciation which is directly related to manufacturing. Let's say machinery का etc. इलेक्ट्रिकल फिटिंग्स वगैरह सबका मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ओवरहेड्स में आ जाएगा डेप्रिसिएशन. Your manufacturing overheads would include depreciation as well, that is related to manufacturing. So one more important point of this chapter: working capital is nothing but your amount blocked in current assets and current liabilities. Correct? डेटर्स में पैसा अटका पड़ा है, स्टॉक में पैसा अटका पड़ा है, क्रेडिटर्स को देना बाकी है, कैश बैलेंस है. कैन आई से इट इज दी नथिंग बट योर अमाउंट ब्लॉक्ड. बट टेल मी, is your amount blocked in depreciation? Any specific amount is blocked in depreciation? Tell me. It is a non-cash expense. Are you getting this? So if question specifies that manufacturing overheads includes depreciation, then you have to remove the amount of depreciation from manufacturing overheads. Are you getting this? Because amount never gets blocked in depreciation. It is a non-cash expense. So bank will never fund you for those expense which you have not paid only in cash. Are you getting this logic? सोचो, will bank fund you for depreciation जो आपने जेब से भरा ही नहीं है? Why will bank fund you for that? Bank will only fund you for that amount which is actually blocked, which you have actually incurred in cash. Are you getting this? If following. So depreciation, if included in manufacturing overhead, has to be removed. ठीक है. Another point. Hey, is your amount blocked in profit? Is your amount blocked in profit? हाँ सर, डेटर्स पे तो अमाउंट ब्लॉक होता है ना सर. डेटर्स तो सेल्स है तो डेटर्स है. सो प्रॉफिट में तो ब्लॉक हुआ ना सर. बट कैन आई से प्रॉफिट इज नॉट द अमाउंट दैट यू हैव इनकर्ड from your pocket. Profit is over and above the cost. So bank again will not fund you for the profit. ये तो डबल फायदा हो गया. You are earning profit as well and you are getting funding from bank as well for the profit amount. So bank will never fund you for profit. So the point that I want to explain here is debtors as far as working capital is concerned. यहाँ पे जो debtors calculate करेंगे ना, it will be based on cost of sales and not sales. Are you following? Ratios chapter में you used to value or you used to calculate receivables on sales. But in this chapter, we want to estimate how much amount is exactly blocked in debtors. So profit is not my amount blocked. It is over and above the cost. And bank will never fund you for profit. So that's why in this chapter, our receivables, our debtors will be calculated on cost of sales. Are you following? So number one, depreciation. That means non-cash expenses has to be ignored while estimating the working capital. Correct. And second, receivables has to be valued on cost of sales and not on sales. ठीक है? समझा? बोला any doubt still here? So these are some significant points that you need to keep this in mind. First, non-cash expenses, that is depreciation, is to be excluded from manufacturing overheads. And second, debtors will be valued on cost of sales and not on sales. Why? Because sales, the amount of sales includes the amount of profit. So profit is not your amount block, or profit is not the amount that you have incurred from your pocket. So financial institutions never fund for that amount which is not incurred from your pocket or which is not paid for from your pocket. Okay? Understood? So this method of calculating or estimating the working capital is called as cash cost basis. क्या बोलते हैं इसको? Cash cost basis. This approach of estimating the working capital is called as cash cost basis. Only include the cost, not profit, and only include that cost which is paid in cash. Are you getting this? So you ignore profit and you ignore non-cash expense. Bolo, any queries, any concerns, any doubts still here? Any doubts in cost statement? का आगे बढ़े, आगे बढ़े अब फॉर्मूला में. Okay, now let's understand, let's learn the formula to calculate each and every component. This you have already learned in ratios chapter. We would be just transpositioning those formulas for our convenience in this chapter. ठीक है? आपने receivables की भी formula पढ़ी है, आपने inventory की भी formula पढ़ी है, आपने payables की भी पढ़ी है, सबकी formula आपने पढ़ी है in ratios chapter. Now we will just transposition, उल्टा फुल्टा करेंगे for our convenience in this chapter. ठीक है? Depreciation. What depreciation? Depreciation is a non-cash expense. That amount is not that you have incurred from your pocket. So that you have to ignore as far as estimation of working capital is concerned. ठीक है? Now let's learn the formula of each and every component. Number one, tell me inventory. चलो inventory लेते पहले. FG inventory. Holding period. This formula you have learned in chapter of ratios. Bolo, what is the formula? क्या थी formula of FG inventory holding period or FG storage period? What was the formula? Recollect. I'm waiting for you. ये याद है कि नहीं? Do you remember or not? What was the formula in the chapter of financial ratios for FG inventory holding period? Sir, कुछ याद नहीं है. It was something like this: COGS upon average stock, and it average stock was not provided, then it was nothing but COGS upon closing stock of FG. Yes or no? यही थी. Into 365. If it is in days, then 365. But if it is in month, then 12. And if it is in weeks, then 52. Correct? Yes or no? So now in this chapter, we have to calculate this figure. ये हमें इन्वेंट्री का अमाउंट चाहिए ना. In this format, we need to calculate the stock inventory of FG. We need to calculate the inventory of FG. So can you just transposition the formula and help me in finding a formula? So can I say stock of FG would be nothing but, क्या होगा बताओ? बोलो क्या होगा? Let's transposition the formula and calculate the value of stock of FG. Correct. Vishal is correct. It becomes nothing but COGS multiply by FG holding period divided by 365, 12 or 52 as the case may be. Okay? We have just transpositioned the formula. Are you getting this? Likewise, WIP, stock of WIP will always be based on, just like stock of FG is based on COGS, stock of WIP will be based on cost of production. So it would be cost of production multiply by WIP holding period divided by 365, 12, 52. Correct? And third, stock of RM. Wait a second, I am coming to that point. Wait a second. Wait a second, I'm coming to that point. There is some mistake here. I have written some, I have done some mistake over here, but I'm coming to that point. Stock of RM is always based on raw material consumption. So the formula would be raw material consumption into RM holding period divided by 365, 12, 52. ठीक है? Okay. Okay, the formula that you have learned in FM for FG holding period was something like this. FG holding period was, it was nothing but stock of FG divided by COGS into 365 1252. ऐसी थी फॉर्मूला. आई डिड ऊपर नीचे. मैंने ऊपर नीचे लिखा था. द फॉर्मूला वाज दिस. मैंने ऊपर नीचे कर दिया था. द फॉर्मूला, एक्चुअल फॉर्मूला टू कैलकुलेट एफजी होल्डिंग पीरियड वाज स्टॉक ऑफ एफजी डिवाइड बाय सीओजीएस into 365 1252. Why? Because FG is always, FG का stock is always based on COGS. ठीक है. Likewise, WIP holding period का formula was stock of WIP divided by cost of production into 365 1252. This was the formula in your financial ratio chapter. WIP is always based on cost of production. FG is always based on cost of goods sold. Raw material is always based on raw material consumption. ठीक है. So मैंने न्यूमरेटर डिनोमिनेटर लिखने में गलती कर दी थी, but the actual formula was this. ठीक है. Understood? So how to calculate stock of FG? Stock of FG is always based on COGS. So COGS multiply by FG holding period divided by 365, 12 or 52 as the case may be. Are you getting this? Likewise, stock of WIP. Stock of WIP is nothing but cost of production multiply by WIP holding period. Means WIP holding period means the amount in time the goods are in process. ठीक है. प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेस में कितने टाइम तक गुड्स है, दैट इज WIP होल्डिंग पीरियड. एंड स्टॉक ऑफ RM is nothing but RMC, raw material consumption, into RM holding period divided by 365 1252. Likewise, receivables. Receivables is actually credit sales. Correct. Multiply by credit period given to the customers. Let's say for 30 days, for 60 days, for 90 days, etc. So credit sales multiply by credit period divided by 365 12 or 52. But as I told you, receivables will always be based on cost of sales as far as estimation of working capital is concerned. ठीक है. So instead of credit sales, we will use cost of sales. And unless otherwise mentioned in the question, all the sales would be on credit. अगर कुछ भी क्वेश्चन में मेंशन नहीं किया है, then entire sales would be on credit basis. ठीक है. So here it would be cost of sales multiply by credit period divided by 365 1252. And last but not the least, payables. So payables is always on credit purchases and not on total purchases. But unless otherwise specified, all the purchases are to be assumed to be on credit. ठीक है. So credit purchases multiply by credit period divided by 365 1252. Credit period allowed by suppliers to us. Understood? So this is the formula to calculate stock, to calculate receivables, to calculate payables. So ध्यान से एक बार formula आप देख लो. It is just transpositioning the formula from the chapter of ratios to our convenience for this chapter. ठीक है. Once we take a practical problem, you will get a better clarity, a better picture on how to estimate the working capital needs. ठीक है. So first, just quickly 2 minutes go through the formula, and after that we can proceed. WIP always based on cost of production. Raw material is always based on raw material consumption. Finished goods is always based on cost of goods sold. Receivables, ideally receivables are based on credit sales, but here we would be following cash cost approach. So our receivables will be valued on cost of sales rather than credit sales, and payables will be based on credit purchases. ठीक है. Can we proceed? Can we take an illustration? So let's take one illustration on estimation of working capital so that you get more clarity on how to solve the question of this chapter. Illustration number 3, page number 25. रिसीवेबल एंड पेएबल की फॉर्मूला देखनी है. ओके. देख लो. Everyone, in the meanwhile, please open page number 25, illustration number 3. On 1st January, Managing Director of Norin Limited wishes to know the amount of working capital that will be required in the coming year. During the year means from 1st Jan to 31st December. So आने वाले साल में हमें कितना वर्किंग कैपिटल लगेगा, he wants to know that. From the following information, prepare the working capital forecast. Forecast means estimation. Production was 60,000 units in the previous year, and it is planned that this level of activity would be continued in the present year as well. So when I say production in the current year is 60,000 units only, the expected ratios of the cost to selling price are raw material 60%, direct wages 10%, and overheads 20%. Means ki if let's say if selling price is 10, then my raw material per unit would be 6 rupees. My direct wages, direct labor per unit would be 1 rupee, and overhead per unit would be 2 rupee. Followed. Raw materials are expected to remain in store for an average of 2 months before issue to production. This statement is nothing but raw material holding period. Means for how much time I am holding raw material in my stores. Are you getting this? So this 2 months is nothing but this raw material holding period. Followed. Each unit is expected to be in process for 1 month. Process means WIP. Means my 1 unit will be in process for 1 month. Can I say this is WIP holding period? Means कितने time तक मेरे units process में WIP में. So this is WIP holding period. So if I enter unit in the machine, it will take 1 month to get completed into finished goods. ठीक है. Finished goods will stay in the warehouse awaiting dispatch to customers for approximately 3 months. Means before selling to the customers, my finished goods will remain in my godown for 3 months. So can I say this is FG holding period, FG storage period, the time for which I hold my FG, that is 3 months. Credit allowed by creditors is 2 months. Means this is my credit given by my suppliers, ये वाला creditors ने. And credit allowed to my customers is 3 months. So this 3 months is debtors ka credit period. The credit that I give to my customers or debtors holding period. You can term it as debtors holding period as well for your easy convenience. And credit by suppliers, you can term it as creditors holding period. There is regular production and cycle. Wages and overheads are paid on the first of each month for the previous month. Means इस महीने की wages I will pay in the next month. April का wages I will pay in May. May का wages I will pay in June. June का wages I will pay in July. Likewise, December का wages I will pay in Jan of the next year. So can I say wages and overheads are outstanding for a period of 1 month? Yes or no? So they are outstanding. This is nothing but outstanding wages and overheads for 1 month. Lag in payment of wages and lag in payment of overheads. Followed, the company normally keeps cash in hand to the extent of 20,000. So this is my cash and bank balance that is directly given in the question. Okay, so this is the question. We need to calculate, we need to estimate the working capital needs. So let's try and solve this. First, again, we will prepare a format, we will prepare a table. Estimation of working capital for Norin Limited. And as I told you, we need to follow which approach? Cash cost approach. Means you ignore non-cash expenses and you ignore the element of profit. Okay? So whenever you solve the question of working capital, पहले give the heading, then prepare a format. Current assets. Current assets short form में भी लिखोगे चलेगा. Subtract current liabilities from that. Less current liabilities. Short form में लिखोगे चलेगा. No worries. ठीक है? Now write each and every component of current asset. First is inventory. Inventory में भी 3. Raw material, WIP, FG. ठीक है? Then we have receivables, or you write debtors. Then we have cash bank balance. There is no prepaid expense in the question, so we will not write that. The total of current asset is called as gross working capital. From this, we will subtract current liabilities. Current liabilities में first it would be payables. Then we have outstanding expenses. Outstanding expenses में wages and overheads. ठीक है? So our format is ready. Now, to derive the value of each and every component, I told you we need a source document. And that source document is nothing but your cost sheet or cost statement. So first, let's prepare a cost statement using the working note. So you just learn how to approach the question of working capital. कैसे solve करना है वो भी आप सीखते जाओ. So working note number 1, cost statement. My format of cost statement is raw material consumed, wages, Overheads will give me cost of production, will give me cost of goods sold. I will add admin, add selling and distribution, will give me cost of sales, add profit, will give me sales. ठीक है? This is per unit. This is total. Can I say my sales per unit given in the question is rupees 5? Sir, क्या है? ये रहा. Selling price per unit is 5. Total units are 60,000 units. Huh? So sales per unit is 5. And the ratio of raw material per unit to sales is how much? 60%. सर वो कहा दिया है? ये रहा दिया है थर्ड पैरा में. 60% is the ratio of raw material per unit to selling price. So can I say it is 563 rupees per unit? Wages is 10%, 0.5, and I guess overhead is 20%. Overhead is 20%. So 1 per unit. Yes or no? So my cost of production, COGS per unit comes to 4.5. Is there any information on admin and selling and distribution? बोलो कहीं पे भी admin and selling and distribution expense है? नहीं है. Nowhere it is mentioned about admin and selling. So we will not write, we will not consider. So my cost of sales comes to 4.5. Profit would be my balancing figure, which is 0.5, and sales is rupees 5. So 60,000 into 3. Can I say my raw material consumption comes to 1,80,000 rupees? Yes or no? Then 60,000 into 0.5. My wages comes to 30,000. Don't rush. First, prepare this cost statement. Because cost statement एक बार बना दिया, then the above format is very simple. Thereafter, overheads. अच्छा, overheads में I told you deduct depreciation if given in the question. Does this question specify anything about depreciation as far as overheads is concerned? बताओ. No, right? So we will ignore depreciation as if कि इसमें कोई depreciation है ही नहीं. So we have to ignore that. So entire overheads is cash overheads. ठीक है? So my overheads comes to 60,000. So my total cost of production is 180, 240, 270. Nil, 270. My selling price is 5 per unit. Can I say 3 lakh? 60,000 into 5, 3 lakh. And my profit comes to 30,000, which is balancing figure. Followed? Any doubts still here? बोलो. Simple था यहाँ तक. आगे बढ़े. Now just take the base of this source document and try to calculate each and every component of working capital. So stock of RM. How to calculate stock of RM? It is nothing but, we know the formula. RMC into raw material holding period divided by, acha, is this in days, months or weeks? See, everything, all the holding periods are in months. So we will divide it by 12. ठीक है? सारे months में दिया है. So we will divide it by 12. Correct? So RM, raw stock of raw material, is nothing but my raw material consumption is 180. My raw material holding period is how much? 2 months. 2 months. My raw material, I hold my raw material in store for 2 months. So 2 divided by 12. So 180 into 2 divided by 12. कितना आ रहा है? 2, 1, 2, 6, 30. सर इफ देयर रिगार्डिंग एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन व्हाई शुड ट्रीट इट नील. अरे तो दिया ही नहीं है तो कौन सा ऐसी व्हाट अमाउंट शैल आई टेक. बोलो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन एंड सेलिंग एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कुछ दिया ही नहीं है. विच अमाउंट व्हाट अमाउंट शैल आई टेक. आई कैन आई टेक 5 लाख, कैन आई टेक 2 लाख, क्या अमाउंट लू. आई हैव टू टेक इट नील ओनली ना बिकॉज नथिंग इज प्रोवाइडेड. कुछ इन्फॉर्मेशन अब मेरा मन हुआ मुझे 50,000 लेना है. समटाइम्स यू मे फील सर आई वांट टू टेक 1 लाख, सो यू कैन टेक 1 लाख. थर्ड पर्सन फील सर मेरा तो मन हो रहा है 2 लाख लेने का. सो देर इज नो यूनिफॉर्मिटी ना unless anything is provided in the question. So if nothing is provided in the question, you have to ignore. So my raw material का stock comes to 30,000. ठीक है. Now very crucial part. Now very crucial part. अच्छा पहले before calculating FG, before calculating WIP, let's calculate FG. ठीक है. So FG I told you FG का formula is nothing but COGS multiply by FG holding period divided by 12 since it is in months, correct? So my COGS, see the COGS in the cost sheet, it is 2,70,000. It is 2,70,000. So can I say it is nothing but 270 and my FG holding period is 3 by 12. 4. कितना आया stock of FG? 67,500. ठीक है. ठीक है. Now WIP. Now this is very crucial ना. WIP पे ध्यान देना. ये जो मैंने ज्यादा स्पेस छोड़ी है ना उसका भी एक रीजन है. Can I say WIP is based on cost of production? Yes, that we have learned. So cost of production is 270. Now how this 270 is derived? It is the total of all these three things, correct? So instead of writing cost of production, I can write this raw material cost. I can write wages. I can write overheads. Instead of writing total, can I write individual as well? Cost of production आया कैसे है? Raw material plus wages plus overhead. Instead of writing total, मैंने individually लिखा. Raw material अलग से लिखा, wages अलग से लिखा, overheads अलग से लिखा. Why? Because process में जो है उसमें raw material भी होगा. There would be some raw materials in the process. Labor would also be working for WIP and there would be some overheads incurred as well for process. So it is cumulation of all these three expenses, raw material, wages and overheads. So I wrote it individually, specifically rather than writing total. ठीक है. सर ऐसा क्यों किया आपको बहुत जल्द समझेगा. अच्छा raw material is nothing but how much is the cost of raw material? 180. How much is the cost of wages? Labor is 30. How much is the cost of overheads? 60. So at the end आया तो 270, which is my cost of production. अच्छा for the time being, forget that my WIP holding period is 1 month. Forget, भूल जाओ 1 month है. Let's assume that it is 3 months only. जो FG का holding period है, let's assume that it is 3 months only. So can I say my answer or my calculation would be something like this? 180 into 3 by 12, 30 into 3 by 12, 60 into 3 by 12, which in turn is nothing but 270 into 3 by 12. So can I say my total comes to 67,500 only? If administration and selling expense given, if we do same for FG, मतलब administration and selling expenses are after COGS. So उसको FG से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. FG is based on COGS and COGS does not include admin and selling and distribution expense. If question specifies that admin is related to production, then it would be included in COGS and then in turn included in FG. But if it is not given, then you have to ignore. ठीक है? So can you see there is no difference between FG and WIP? दोनों का वैल्यू सेम आ रहा है. But we know that WIP and FG में फर्क तो है. WIP is unfinished goods. FG is completely finished goods. WIP is unfinished goods. Something less than FG but more than raw materials. Means WIP कैसे पता है? It is not in the form of raw material, but also it is not in the form of FG as well. जैसे मान लो if I am into shirt manufacturing, so shirt का structure ready हो गया है, but buttons are yet to be stitched, pocket is yet to be stitched. So can I say that is WIP? Something semi-finished goods, unfinished goods. So there has to be difference between WIP and FG. Are you getting this? And that difference is nothing but percentage completion. This is very crucial. This is very important. Huh? Can I say FG is that goods which is 100% complete? Which is 100% complete. Whereas WIP is not 100% complete. It has to be something less than 100%. तभी जाके WIP और FG में difference होगा. Otherwise, see, both the value is same. There is no difference between WIP and FG. Why? Because WIP भी हम 270 पे value कर रहे हैं. FG also we are valuing on 270. There is no difference. But logically, there has to be some difference between two components. And what is that difference? That difference is percentage completion. FG is 100% complete, whereas WIP has to be something less than 100%. So here we multiply it with percentage completion. Are you following? WIP को हम किससे मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे? परसेंटेज कंप्लीशन से. So that difference between WIP and FG can be seen. Otherwise, both are valued on the same figure. हमारा COP भी same है, COGS भी same है. So ideally, there is no difference occurring between WIP and FG. But logically, there has to be, because WIP is semi-finished goods. It is not 100% complete. So difference कहाँ पे है? Percentage completion में. Are you following? So this percentage completion will be given in the question. कि WIP में raw material कितना % complete हो गया? That would be given, specified in the question. Wages ने कितना % काम कर लिया है? As far as WIP is concerned, that also will be given in the question. Are you following? Did you get the difference between WIP and FG? Followed? Sir, what if this percentage is not given? Sir, इस question में तो हमें कहा दिया है percentage completion. कहीं पे भी नहीं दिख रहा है how much percentage it is complete. So in absence of information for percentage completion, there is a standard assumption that raw material would be 100% complete. Means entire raw material is issued for in the machine for process. Raw material सारे चले गए for process, but wages and overheads are only 50% complete. This is the standard assumption of this chapter as far as WIP is concerned. Following? If question specifically says that raw material is 80% complete, then take 80%. Wages is 40% complete, then take 40%. Overhead is 60% complete, then take 60%. But what if question does not specify any percentage completion? Then this is the standard assumption 150-50. Okay? Are you following? So in our present case, in our present question, can I say this will be multiplied by 1/12 because my WIP holding period is 1/12. Are you following? So this is how you solve WIP. This is how you calculate WIP. WIP और FG में फर्क परसेंटेज कंप्लीशन में पड़ता है. Otherwise, there is no difference. Ideally, there is no difference because WIP is also valued on cost of production. FG is also, you can say, valued on cost of production or cost of COGS. दोनों का value same है. But here is the difference in percentage completion. अच्छा, there is no need to write this because multiply by 100% करोगे तो same ही answer आएगा. So no need to specifically write 100% for FG. ठीक है? So tell me, 180 into 1 by 12 into 100% कितना आया? 15,000. So this means raw material in WIP. 15,000 is raw material का stock in WIP. Then wages 30,000 divided by 12 into 50%. So 15,000 divided by 12. 1250 and overheads 2,500. ठीक है? Understood WIP? So the only difference between FG and WIP is in percentage completion. Followed? Now next, debtors. Debtors, the formula was cost of sales into credit period given to customers, or you can say debtors holding period. Debtors holding period divided by 12. Correct? So cost of sales is 270. Debtors holding period is 3 months. 3 divided by 12, which comes to 67,500. Cash and bank balance directly given in the question. Question bank balance is 20,000. So 20,000, I will write it here. So my total of all the current assets is 30 plus 15 plus 1250 plus 2,500 plus 67,500 plus 67,500 plus 20,000. करो कितना आ रहा है? My gross working capital comes to 203,750. 203,750. Okay, my payables. Payables is on credit purchases. Can I say I will buy raw materials from my suppliers? Yes or no? मैं क्या खरीदूंगा? Raw materials ही खरीदूंगा. Finished goods तो मैं बना रहा हूँ. I am manufacturing the finished goods. But to manufacture finished goods, I will buy raw materials. Na? So my creditors would be on raw materials purchases. Okay? So can I say it would be 180 multiply by creditors holding period. How much is my creditors holding period? 2 months. So I pay after 2 months from the date of buying. So 30,000 is my creditors. Wages, there are lag in wages payment and overheads payment for 1 month. Okay? So wages, amount of wages is 30,000 and they are outstanding for a period of 1 month. Likewise, overhead is 60,000. There is lag in payment of overheads of 1 month. Itna aaya? This is 5,000. This is 2,500. Okay? So my excess of current assets over current liabilities 203,750 minus 30 minus 7,500. करो कितना आया? 203,750 minus 37,500. 166,250. Does the question specify any safety margin related information? Since there is no information on safety margin, this is my working capital estimates. ठीक है? अगर safety margin दिया होता तो we would have added that. So 166,250 is my working capital estimation. Followed everyone? So you should know WIP. The reason to leave so much space between WIP and FG was this, to explain you the difference between WIP and FG. समझा सबको? Any doubts? 1 month lag means outstanding. Means आज जो wages incur हो रहे हैं वो next month हम pay करेंगे. Lag means outstanding. ठीक है? So please just go through this question once before we take another problem. So see, the estimated working capital need is 166,250. Acha, another thing, see, they have also written that working capital has to be estimated based on cash cost. And what is cash cost? You ignore non-cash expenses and you ignore profit element for calculating debtors. Can you see here, if we have sundry debtors worth 1 lakh, and if our cost of sales of that 1 lakh is 75,000, the actual amount of funds blocked on sundry debtor is 75,000 only. Why? Because 25,000 is the profit, and profit is not the amount blocked. Are you getting this? Again, there are some items of non-cash expenses like depreciation. So suppose out of 75,000, 5,000 is a depreciation, then it is obvious that the actual funds blocked would be only 70,000 now. 75,000 cost of sales था, उसमें से 5,000 तो depreciation है. So actual fund, real fund block is 70,000 only. So that's why we ignore, we remove, we exclude depreciation as well. ठीक है? So just quickly go through this. Let me know if you have any queries in this question. And after that, we will move to next part. Done. Can we proceed? Everyone? Okay. So till now, no doubts. Sure? ठीक है? तो अब let's take next illustration which contains depreciation as well. The following annual figures relate to XYZ company. Sales at 2 months credit. 36 lakh is my sales at 2 months credit, means this is debtors holding period. I give 2 months credit to my customers. Material consumed 9 lakh. Supplier extends 2 months credit. So when I say this is creditors holding period, I buy raw materials and I make the payment after 2 months. Wages paid 1 month lag in payment 720. Lag means outstanding. आज wages incur हुए, I will pay after a month. Cash manufacturing expenses. Cash manufacturing, they have directly given the cash manufacturing. So we are concerned with that only. We are not concerned with cash plus depreciation. We are concerned with only cash manufacturing expense. Expenses are paid 1 month in arrear. Again, 1 month in arrear means 1 month outstanding. Administrative expenses, 1 month lag in payment, 240. Sales promotion expenses paid quarterly in advance. So admin is outstanding for 1 month, but sales promotion is prepaid for 3 months. So in this question, we have prepaid expenses as well. Okay? In this question, we have administration expense, we have selling and distribution expense. The company sell its product on GP of 25%. Depreciation is considered as a part of cost of production. So cost of production में depreciation is a part, correct? But यहाँ पे हमें direct cash manufacturing ही दिया है. So this 960 does not include depreciation. Although नीचे लिखा है कि depreciation is included in the cost of production, but यहाँ पे this 960 any which ways is after excluding depreciation. So we are concerned with that only. It keeps 1 month stock of each raw material and FG. So can I say this 1 month is nothing but my RM and FG holding period? I keep raw materials in my warehouse for 1 month and I keep FG in my warehouse for 1 month. Cash balance is 1 lakh. Safety margin is 20%. Calculate working capital need on cash cost basis. Ignore WIP. You have to ignore WIP. Okay. So again, the process remains same. Whenever you get question on estimation of working capital, our first thing is to question and page number. Question number, illustration number 4, page number 29. हाँ, विशाल is correct. आंख बंद करके या खुला करके पहले फॉर्मेट बना दो. Estimation of working capital, cash cost basis. ठीक है. नंबर 1 करंट असेट्स, इन्वेंट्री. करंट असेट में नंबर ए इन्वेंट्री. रॉ मटेरियल, we have to ignore WIP in this question, so no need to write WIP. Next we have debtors, cash bank balance. Acha, in this question we have prepaid expense also. So other current asset में prepaid S&D, selling and distribution. Sales promotion is nothing but selling and distribution expense. Total will be my gross working capital less current liability. First would be my payables. Second, outstanding expenses. उसमें I have outstanding labor, outstanding overheads, and outstanding admin as well. Correct? So the resultant figure would be called as excess of current assets over current liabilities. Since we have safety margin in this question, we will add that. And the resultant amount is called as net working capital required. Okay, format is ready. Now to fill in the values of all the components, we need to prepare a source document called cost statement. So we will prepare a cost statement, cost sheet, working note 1 में. Again, this cost sheet will be on cash cost basis. Raw material consumed, wages, manufacturing expenses. In this question, instead of overheads, they have used the term of manufacturing expenses. And since we are concerned with cash manufacturing expenses only, कुछ extra करने की जरूरत नहीं है. The resultant figure is called as COP or COGS. Add admin, add sales promotion, which is nothing but S&D, sales and distribution expense, will give me cost of sales. ठीक है? So let's quickly first prepare cost statement. Material consumed is 9 lakh. So यहाँ पे 9 lakh लिख देंगे. Labor is 720. So 720 is my wages. Cash manufacturing expenses is 960. ठीक है? So this 960 में depreciation is not included, huh? Because these are cash manufacturing expenses. हाँ, सिर्फ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एक्सपेंसेस बोला होता यहाँ पे had they had used the word as just manufacturing expenses, then this 960 would have included depreciation as well. ठीक है? Hope you are following. So my COGS comes to 2580. Admin is how much? 240 and sales promotion is 120. So my cost of sales comes to 25, 27, 28, 29, 40. 29 lakh 40, correct. सिंपल कॉस्ट स्टेटमेंट रेडी हो गया. फट से अब फॉर्मेट फिल करना स्टार्ट कर दो. So raw material is based on raw material consumption. 9 lakh multiply by RM holding period, which is 1 month, divide by 12. बोलो कितना आया? $75,000. FG is always based on COGS. 2580. Again, FG holding period is 1 month. So 2580 into 1 by 12. 215. Debtors is based on cost of sales. So cost of sales is 29 lakh 40,000. And my credit to customers is 2 months. 2 by 12. यहाँ पे दिया देखो start में. And in absence of information, entire sales would be on credit. 490. Cash and bank balance is to be kept at 1 lakh directly given in the question. ये रहा देखो, cash balance is 1 lakh. We have prepaid S&D. Selling and distribution is 1,20,000 and it is quarterly paid in advance. Means can I say 3 months advance? 3 by 12. Two months. RM should be 2 months. Why 2 months? कहा दिया है RM 2 months? Hey, that is for creditors. Supplier is giving us credit for 2 months. RM तो ये रहा. It keeps 1 month stock of each of raw materials. So raw material stock is held for 1 month. ये तो suppliers 2 महीने का credit देते हैं. Means for creditors, this is 2 months. So 30,000. Prepaid S&D 30,000. So my gross working capital comes to करो ना add 75 plus 2 lakh 15 plus 490 plus 1 lakh plus 30. 9,10,000. ठीक है. Current liabilities, payables. Now my creditors, I will buy raw materials from my creditors. So raw material is 9 lakh and creditors give me 2 months of credit. कितना आएगा? I guess 1,50,000. Labor is 7,20,000 and it is outstanding for 1 month. So into 1/12, 60,000. Overheads is overheads 9,60,000. They are also outstanding for 1 month. They are in arrears for 1 month. 80,000. 12,896. And last but not the least, admin. It is also outstanding for 1 month. 220. So 9,10,000 में से आप माइनस करो 150, 60, 80 and 20. So my excess of yes, we take cost of sales because we are following cash cost approach. If we take sales, then sales will include the element of profit as well. And to calculate working capital needs, we just need to find out how much amount is blocked in my working capital, how much amount is blocked in my debtors. So if I calculate debtors on sales, then it means that it includes element of profit. But profit में मेरा amount block नहीं होता कभी भी. It is always on the cost where my amount gets blocked. So that's why we calculate debtors on cost of sales instead of sales. 6 lakh is the final answer. कि excess of 9,10,000 में से excess, okay. So this is 6 lakh. If I add 20% to this, and as it comes to 120. So my net working capital is 720. Okay. So this was very simple because manufacturing expenses were the cash manufacturing expenses. Now a twist in this question. Let's assume now a twist, little twist in this question. अच्छा इस क्वेश्चन में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एक्सपेंस कैश में दे दिया है. अच्छा ठीक है, डन, सिंपल था. बट लेट्स अज्यूम सिर्फ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एक्सपेंस बोला होता रेदर देन कैश मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एक्सपेंस, तो क्या करते हैं? अ स्मॉल ट्विस्ट. लेट्स अज्यूम that 960 is total manufacturing expenses and not cash manufacturing expenses. I guess when I explained you about safety margin, either you were sleeping or you were on a break, because I explained you very earlier when I explained the format that safety margin is nothing but a conservative, taking a conservative approach. This 6 lakh is nothing but an estimated figure. The actual figure may differ here and there. So to be on conservative basis, we add a safety margin. कि चलो आपका calculation है 6 lakh, but don't raise 6 lakh from bank, raise 720 to be on a safer side. So I think you should pay attention in the class and not take breaks. Okay, so now a small twist. Let's assume this 960 is my total manufacturing expense instead of cash manufacturing expense. Okay? So as I told you, we have to remove the effect of depreciation from this 960. Yes or no? Yeah, are you following? We have to remove. तो कैसे निकालेंगे? कैसे निकालेंगे? So for that, they would provide the amount of depreciation in the question. The depreciation is so and so. So from that, you subtract that depreciation, correct? Are you following? Everyone? अगर total manufacturing expenses होता, अगर ये total manufacturing expenses होता, so you have to remove the effect of depreciation from it. ठीक है? So now let's move. Acha, before moving to next topic, do you have any doubts in this question? बोलो. Any queries? आगे बढ़े नेक्स्ट टॉपिक पे, नेक्स्ट कॉन्सेप्ट पे. टुमारो वी विल टेक सम मोर कॉम्प्लेक्स प्रॉब्लम्स एज वेल. जहाँ पे नॉट टुमारो बट ऑन आवर नेक्स्ट सेशन, जहाँ पे ये जो सीओपी एंड सीओजीएस है ना, सेम नहीं आएगा. वी विल टेक दैट कॉम्प्लेक्स प्रॉब्लम्स इन आवर नेक्स्ट सेशन, बिकॉज आज लेंगे तो बहुत बाउंसर जाएगा. So in our next session, we will try and take some more complex problem where the standard assumption, the first standard assumption was all activities accrue evenly throughout there. But in some of the question, this standard assumption will not hold true because question specifies otherwise. ठीक है? तो हम complex problem next session में लेंगे. But in our today's session, we will understand the concept of working capital operating cycle. No, always depreciation amount is given. वो सही बात, that is not correct. Sometimes they may give, sometimes they may not give. हर बार देंगे या हर बार नहीं देंगे, वैसा नहीं होगा. अच्छा, if depreciation amount is not given, then you have to assume that this entire manufacturing expense is cash manufacturing expense. If not given, then this is your cash manufacturing expense. नहीं दिया तो क्या कर सकते? We cannot take our assumption ना. नहीं दिया है तो assume that it is cash manufacturing expense. Very important concept. We are starting with, the name of the concept is working capital operating cycle. ध्यान से समझना, दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. हाँ, दिया है डेप्रिसिएशन तो ही हेडेक है, बाकी कोई हेडेक नहीं है. सो नेक्स्ट टॉपिक, वर्किंग कैपिटल ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल. हैव यू हर्ड ऑफ दिस टर्म बिफोर? सुना है? आई गेस इन क्लास 12 यू हैड दिस टॉपिक, वर्किंग कैपिटल ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल. What is the meaning of this term? If you have heard this, then you should know what do you mean by working capital operating cycle. बताओ. Try. See, you should try. Even if the answer is wrong, even if it is not correct, you should try. Krishna, tell me, what do you mean by time to convert raw material in FG and into cash. Rotation of working capital. Correct, correct. So in simple terms, it is nothing but process of converting cash back into cash. It is a simple process of converting cash back into cash. कैश को कैश में कन्वर्ट करने का प्रोसेस इज कॉल्ड वर्किंग कैपिटल ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल. सर समझ नहीं आया हाउ टू कन्वर्ट कैश बैक इनटू कैश. सो दिस कैश is that cash that you use or that you pay to your suppliers to buy raw materials. Means आज एक जेब से पैसा गया to buy raw materials. Now can I say this raw materials after holding for few period I will enter it into WIP process में जाएगा. Yes or no? WIP से कन्वर्ट होके फिनिश गुड्स बनेगा. Now once WIP gets converted into finished goods, फैक्ट्री के बाहर कस्टमर्स लाइन लगा के नहीं खड़े होंगे. I have to store it. I have to hold finished goods for some period. I have to keep it in stock for few periods. And after that, I will sell it to my customers, which is called debtors. And from that debtors, I will receive the cash. So this cash is that cash that you receive from debtors. Are you following? Are you following? So process of conversion of cash back into cash. ये थोड़ा सर्कल प्रॉपर नहीं हुआ है, but don't mind. अब हो गया प्रॉपर. ठीक है. Process of converting cash back into cash is called working capital operating cycle. This entire cycle starting from cash that we use to buy raw materials. रॉ मटेरियल्स खरीदने के बाद प्रोसेस में डाला, प्रोसेस से फिनिश गुड्स बना, फिनिश गुड्स से आई सोल्ड इट टू माय कस्टमर्स, कस्टमर्स ने पैसा दिया. सो दिस एंटायर साइकिल गोज ऑन एंड ऑन टिल द बिजनेस इज ऑन. एंड दिस एंटायर साइकिल, दिस एंटायर रोटेशन इज कॉल्ड वर्किंग कैपिटल ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल. ठीक है. इफ योर फादर इज इनटू बिजनेस, अगर आप उनकी बात ध्यान से सुनते हो, अगर whenever he is calling or he is having conversation with his suppliers and clients or customers, he would have frequently used this term कि यार पैसा अभी रोलिंग में अटका पड़ा है और पैसा अभी रोटेशन में अटका पड़ा है. So that rotation is nothing but this cycle. That rolling is nothing but this working capital cycle. Are you following? So working capital operating cycle is nothing but a process. Which process? A process of converting cash back into cash. आज एक जेब से पैसा गया है to buy raw materials. वापस वही पैसा, वापस that cash in the form of debtors कितने टाइम में आएगा? That period is called as duration of working capital cycle. Are you following? The process, see, working capital operating cycle means a process of converting back cash into cash. ठीक है. But the time taken to complete this process, the time taken to complete this process is called as duration of operating cycle. Duration of operating cycle. आज मेरे जेब से पैसा गया टू बाय रॉ मटेरियल्स. सो विद इन हाउ मच टाइम आई विल रिसीव द सेम कैश फ्रॉम माय कस्टमर्स? दैट टाइम लेंथ इज कॉल्ड एज ड्यूरेशन ऑफ ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल. आर यू फॉलोइंग? एनी डाउट्स इन द मीनिंग? in the concept of working capital operating cycle. मतलब समझा how to calculate duration of operating cycle. We will learn that in few minutes. But did you understand the concept? It is in layman terms, it is also known as rotation. It is also known as rolling. ठीक है? Now just visualize the story. ठीक है? Again, let's visualize the story. Today, I went to my supplier and I bought raw materials in cash. अभी let's assume कि मैंने cash देके I bought raw materials. ठीक है? So I bought raw materials today. This is day 1. And I bought raw materials from my suppliers by paying cash. तो आज से मेरी ड्यूरेशन स्टार्ट हो गई ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल की, because it is the process of converting cash back into cash. So since I've paid the cash today on day 1, my cycle starts from today. Now, any business unit will not directly enter into process. अच्छा आज खरीद लिया आज ही प्रोसेस में डालेंगे? No. Before entering into the process, before entering into the machinery, they will hold it for some period. They will hold it for some period. So let's say I hold it raw material for 2 months. So can I say my cash is blocked for 2 months? As of now, it is clearly seen that it is blocked for 2 months. Yes or no? आज मैंने cash देके खरीदा and now this cash is in the form of raw material. Correct? And I'm holding this raw material for 2 months. My RM holding period is 2 months. So can I say 2 months tak to, for the next 2 months, I will not get this cash back as of now. Correct? Yes or no? So as of now, I can clearly see that my cash is getting blocked for 2 months. 2 month तक तो मुझे पैसा वापस मिलेगा ही नहीं. Yes or no? Any doubts still here? Okay, no doubts. So after 2 months, I enter this into process. ठीक है? 2 महीने बाद मैंने प्रोसेस में डाला. Now on the spot finished goods ready नहीं होगा. Even WIP in process, in progress, it will take time. So let's say it takes time of another 1 month in process to get completed into finished goods. So can I say 2 plus 1? 3 months tak to I can clearly see that my cash is not getting converted into cash. It is in the form of raw material for 2 months, and for another 1 month it is in the form of WIP. So as of now 3 महीने तक तो मुझे clearly दिख रहा है will not get the cash back. Correct? Following? Any doubts still here? So as of now 3 months is my period of blockage. My amount is getting blocked for 3 months as of now. Correct? I can clearly see 3 month तक तो मुझे पैसे वापस नहीं मिलेंगे. So WIP before getting converted into FG, it takes 1 month time. Now again, WIP is converted into FG. As I told you, customers बाहर line लगा के नहीं खड़े होंगे. No customers would be standing outside just waiting for my process to get completed. No. Before selling to the customers, I have to store stock of finished goods. I have to keep some stock of finished goods for some period of time. Yes or no? So let's say my FG holding period is another 1 month. So before selling it to customer, my FG remains in my store for 1 month. So as of now, can I say 2 plus 1 plus 1? 4 महीने तक तो मुझे कैश वापस मिलेगा ही नहीं, because cash has taken the form of raw material for 2 months. It has taken form of WIP for another 1 month, and thereafter it has taken the form of FG for another 1 month. So as of now, till 4 months, my cash is blocked. in different forms. पहले 2 महीना raw material, then 1 month WIP, then 1 month FG. ठीक है? Now after keeping FG for 1 month, I sold it to my customers. And again, in order to stay relevant in the industry, I have to give credit to the debtors. Yes or no? Yes, debtors also take credit. I cannot ask by पैसा दे अभी तो ही माल दूंगा. No. In order to stay relevant in the industry, in order to boost your sales, you have to give certain credit to debtors. ठीक है? So again, debtors say that I need 2 months credit. So debtors credit period or debtors holding period is 2 months. So can I say after the period of 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2, 6 months, I am getting my cash back. Are you getting this? So my duration of operating cycle is 6 months. Means आज जो मैंने पैसा जेब से निकाला है on day 1, that cash I am receiving after the period, after the end of 6 months. Are you following? Are you getting this? So my duration of operating cycle period is 6 months. So my amount gets blocked in my working capital cycle, or my amount gets blocked in rotation is for 6 months. Understood? Duration of working capital cycle. Yes or no? 2 months. And then after 180th day, 6 months means after 180th day, I receive cash. And this cash, again, this cycle will now go on till eternity, till the business is into operation. Then with this cash, I will again buy raw material. Raw material से WIP, WIP से FG, FG से debtors से cash, cash से raw material. Again, this cycle goes on and on. Are you following? So if I am able to manage funds, for 180 days, आज ये जो raw material को पैसा supplier को पैसा दिया है ना, that money I will receive after 180 days. So if I am able to manage funds for 180 days, my business will run very smoothly. Are you following? I just need to manage funds for 180 days. And that is your working capital needs. Are you following? Are you following? Did you understand the concept of working capital, operating cycle, and duration of operating cycle? Any doubts in this example? I hope you are able to visualize. I hope you are able to visualize. Okay. So in this, my present example, I assume that I bought raw materials on cash basis. Means आज खरीदा, आज पैसा दिया. But can I say even my suppliers would give me credit just like I am giving to my customers? Yes or no? Yes or no? So आज जो मैंने raw material खरीदा है, let's say if supplier gives me credit of 1 month. So can I say my payment, my cash would go after a 1 month period? My cash from my pocket would go after a 1 month period and not today. Okay, are you following this? Did you get this? In my present example, I had assumed that आज cash दिया, आज raw material खरीदा. But in a normal business practice, can I say supplier will also give me credit? So आज I bought raw material, but उसका cash payment, can I say वो 1 महीने बाद हुआ? So can I say my operating cycle, my duration will start from this period? Yes or no? Are you following? So can I say my operating cycle period में से this 6 months जो आज से start किया था ना, उसमें से 1 month less हो जाएगा. Less creditors holding period. Actually, the cash is now blocked for only 5 months, but not 6 months. Why? Because I'm making payment 1 month later. So I have to subtract creditors holding period. which is of 1 month. So my net duration of operating cycle period is 5 months only. I hope everyone followed. So this 6 month is called as gross duration of operating cycle. Gross duration of operating cycle means RM holding period plus WIP holding period plus FG holding period plus debtors holding period. And if we subtract creditors holding period from gross duration, we get net duration. Followed? Operating cycle and operating cycle period duration. Okay. So with this concept, we learned the formula to calculate duration of operating cycle. What is the formula to calculate duration of operating cycle? Duration of operating cycle is nothing but equal to RM holding period plus WIP holding period plus FG holding period plus debtors holding period, or you can say average collection period, less creditors holding period, or you can say average payment period. So this is the formula to calculate net duration of operating cycle. Okay. And again, a raw material holding period would be based on raw material consumption. WIP holding period would be always based on cost of production. FG holding period would be based on COGS. Debtors holding period. Here, debtors holding period would be based on sales. For calculating operating cycle, here it would be based on sales. Less creditors holding period. Okay? So let's take a illustration on operating cycle. ऊपर है कि नीचे है? ऊपर है guys. Okay. So let's solve this question, illustration number 2. Page number 20 of your module. From the following information of XYZ Limited, you are required to calculate net operating cycle period. Net operating cycle period means you are required to calculate net duration, net duration and not gross duration. अगर gross duration पूछा होता तो don't subtract creditors holding period. ठीक है? But यहाँ पे net पूछा है, so we have to subtract creditors holding period as well. And number 2, number of operating cycles in a year. So how to solve operating cycle period ka question? Very simple. First, write down the formula. Net operating cycle period is equal to RM holding period plus WIP holding period plus FG holding period plus debtors holding period or debtors collection period less creditors holding period or average payment period. Now, next step, we have formula for all these components, for all these variables. We can create a formula. जैसे हमारा formula क्या था? Stock of RM. What was the stock of RM की formula? Can I say it was nothing but RM is based on raw material consumption into RM holding period divided by 360, because here it is in days and it is assumed that 360 days in a year. ठीक है? So by transpositioning this formula, can I say RM holding period would be stock of RM divided by raw material consumption into 360? Yes or no? Are you following? This formula you had learned in ratios. Correct? So let's see what is the stock of RM given in the question. So average stock of RM is 50,000 and raw material consumption is 6 lakh. So can I say a raw material holding period would be 50,000 divided by 6 lakh into 360. करो कितना आ रहा है? 50 divided by 6 lakh into 360. Why 360? Because question has specifically mentioned that take 360 days in a year. 30 days. 30 days आ गया. So here my RM holding period comes to 30 days. Likewise, let's calculate WIP holding period. Again, WIP stock की formula क्या थी? It is always based on cost of production multiply by WIP holding period divided by 360. Correct? So again, just transpositioning this formula. Can I say WIP holding period is nothing but stock of WIP divided by cost of production into 360. How much is my average WIP ka stock given in the question? It is 30 and my cost of production is 5 lakh. 30 divided by 5 lakh into 360. 22 days. Yes, round it off to nearest amount. Days को round it off करना 22 days. So here plus 22 plus 22 days. ठीक है? Likewise, let's calculate FG holding period. So FG holding period would be FG stock divided by COGS into 360. ठीक है? FG stock is 40,000. FG stock is 40,000 divided by 8 lakhs. Into 360. कितना आया? 18 days. So my amount blocked in FG. So before selling it to debtors, customers, I keep stock of FG for 18 days. This is how you interpret that. So यहाँ पे आ गया 18 days. Plus debtors holding period. Debtors holding period means average collection period. It is directly given 45 days. So I will directly add 45 days. So 30 plus 22 plus 18 plus 45 is my gross duration of operating cycle. But if we subtract payment period to the creditors, I get net duration of operating cycle. Average payment period is 30 days. So I will subtract that. So my net duration of operating cycle comes to how much days? 85. So मतलब एक cycle complete होने में, to complete one cycle, it is taking 85 days. And in the entire year, there are 360 days. So how many cycles would be there in the entire year? कितनी साइकिल्स ऐसी होगी? हाउ मच साइकिल्स वुड हैव अकर्ड इन द एंटायर ईयर ऑफ 360 days? So that is B part. Number of cycles in the entire year. Can I say it would be 360 divided by 85? Yes or no? One cycle takes 85 days. So in 360 days, how many cycles? Simple interpolation. कितना आया? 4.24 times. So 4.24 cycles. Understood? So this is all about calculation of operating cycle. Can you see the formula? इसमें कंफ्यूज हो जाओगे. The answer is same only. What we have calculated, the answer is same only. So उन्होंने 360 डिनोमिनेटर में डिवाइड कर दिया. But the answer is same only. So can you see the formula of net operating cycle over here? Bolo, any doubts? So since we have just 3 to 4 minutes, let's quickly brush up what we have covered in today's session. First of all, we discussed about the meaning of working capital. It is the funds that you need to run your day-to-day business. After that, I explained you the significance that fixed assets cannot work on its own. You need additional funds for smooth running of fixed asset, and that is working capital. Understood? Uske liye I gave you one small story as well about that restaurant. Okay. After that, we learned about different components of working capital, be it receivables, be it inventory, be it cash and treasury, be it payables. So for each component of working capital, we have separate chapters. Under this chapter only, we have separate sub chapters under this main chapter. So we will learn in future sessions. But today, after that, we covered, we understood the concept, not concept, but how to estimate, how to calculate working capital. For that, we have to prepare a format, vertical format, to derive the values of inventory, receivables, cash bank balance, payables. We need a source document, and that source document is what? Source document is cost sheet, cost statement. Acha, before the format, we learned 3 standard assumptions of this chapter. Unless otherwise specified, all activities accrue evenly throughout the year. Means sales हो, purchase हो, stock हो, सब same रहेगा. Second, we are estimating working capital needs for manufacturing businesses. Third, the amount that you calculate, that you estimate of working capital is for the entire 1 year. Okay, these were the assumptions. Then after that, we learned format. Format के अंदर we learned cost statement. Cost statement is just running parallel with your cost sheet that you have learned in costing. But here the only difference is cost of production, COGS, gross factory cost, everything remains same because of the standard assumption number 1. Okay? Then I explained you that as far as WIP and FG is concerned, both are based on the same value, that is COGS and cost of production. But logically, there has to be difference between both. So the difference lies in the percentage completion. Okay? Then we solve two practical problems so that you get better clarity on how to solve working capital ka question. And last but not the least, we learned the concept of working capital cycle and the duration of working capital cycle. Okay? Any doubts in today's session, friends? I hope it added some value in your academic life. And with this, we end today's session. So everyone have a nice weekend. Enjoy. Let me know if you have any doubts. Okay. Bye, everyone. Yeah, thank you.